Hey you guys, so today I am gonna give you my top 25 movies of the year. So right now I'm using StreamYard because I'm still trying to figure out some stuff with the channel and how to do videos and stuff. So let's get started. So uh so for my runner-ups, at number 28 is Indiana Jones Dial of Destiny. I started the Indiana Jones when it was about the time that the first trailer for Dial of Destiny came out, or it was like when I first heard about it. So Dial of Destiny, it was pretty high on my list, like some people, because it looked really good, and it was good in my opinion. But it seemed like a lot of people who who were like fans of it since like the 80s. I'm pretty sure it's when the first one came out. They did not enjoy it as well. But like other people who just started the franchise at that time thought that it was pretty good for the Indiana Jones, but others thought that who started it earlier seemed to not like it. I really enjoyed my time with it. Harrison Ford, I don't know if he did all the stunts or if he had stuntmen do it for him, some of it, but um, but overall it was just great. Action scenes were really good. The characters were a little bit like not really well written, but I enjoyed it. At number 27 is Fast X. Fast X was like my number three for the longest time until I rewatched it, and I'm like, this isn't as rewatchable. The cliffhanger is really good though. That's a good thing about this movie. Just some of the stunts are like kind of unrealistic things, but I kind of accepted that into the franchise, and it kind of accepted that itself. But all the performances were great. Everything was pretty much great throughout this film. It just doesn't have great rewatchability, and I don't know. It just didn't seem as good as the other ones up here, but it's still really good. Don't get me wrong. But at number 26 is Wonka. Surprisingly, one of my more favorites of the year, because at first I was pretty excited for it. Then I heard that it was like pretty much a full on musical, which I'm not a big fan of those. And then but then I heard that it was really good though. And then I heard from another person that it was like about the same as the first two films. So then I was kind of less scared about it. So then I went to watch it, and I enjoyed my time with it. I mean, there was musical elements a lot, but it had great story though, by the same guy who wrote Paddington. I found out, or who directed. I don't know if he wrote it, but he was part of Paddington. I know that. And Timothy Chalamet did really good. Can't wait to see him in Dune Part Two this year. Can't wait to see him in that. Um, and it was just great overall. But now time to get into the top 25, which the first top 25 will be a hot take. Napoleon. I know a lot of people didn't like this, but I really enjoyed it. It was up higher. It kind of became forgettable. Joaquin Phoenix did great like usual. Ridley Scott. I've only seen like two of his films, but this one it was two or three before this, I think. I don't remember, but I only saw a couple of his, but it seemed like he did really good. I get where people were talking about the story was kind of like everywhere, but but I just enjoyed it for what it was, and I know I could see why people didn't like it as well. Um, and number 24, surprise of this is probably one of the bigger surprises of the year. Totally Killer. Um, just surprised how they kind of made Scream and Back to the Future come together as one film, kind of. It just seemed like I heard people say Happy Death Day. Haven't watched it, so I don't know how much that is true about it, but I need to watch that. I am watching that soon in like a month or two. I have a plan to watch it sometime. But I heard that's part of that, and this thing was kind of like a guessing game a little bit of who the killer was. And then near the end, I started to understand it a little bit more. And then one of the the killer was kind of unexpected, but kind of expected at the same time. So it was confusing about that part, but a good confusing. Don't get me wrong, like it was a bad confusing, but it was kind of weird how it was just straight to streaming. I can see why, because like it has like no really big actors in it, so I could see why it was straight to streaming. But I just really enjoyed it on how they did everything in it, and it was just a fun ride. And at 23, Megan. So I actually saw this on a cruise that I went on because I did not watch it in theaters like most did, because this was before. Like the first movie I watched, I think, was A Man Called Otto this year, and then Ant-Man was second. So I started like late January. I started watching movies, and then after that, I just skyrocketed into a bunch of movies because I think I watched 56 this year. I think that's right. But yeah, it was just surprisingly actually well, because I heard that it was more of like a meme movie, but it was like a good meme movie because it kind of reminded me of Five Nights at Freddy's, which it came out before it, so don't know how it really reminded me of it, but it was about the same time when I watched it that it was released. But it was really good. Megan was kind of creepy in it. Near the end, at least, she was like really creepy. But I really enjoyed my time with it, and I'm pretty sure we're getting a sequel in 25 or 6. Or I don't know if they have a release date yet. At number 22, I know this is probably a hot take to some people because I don't think it was really that well received of a movie, but The Family Plan. I just liked how they made Marky Mark kind of like, I don't know if I would say like Tom Cruise level, but like Matt Damon and Jason Bourne 5 type of level action. So yeah, he kind of had like that type of action, not as much as like Tom Cruise jumping off like a the what was it? It wasn't a train, but I mean he did kind of do that, like a cliff. But he didn't do that type of stuff. But he did have some action scenes that I really haven't seen him in that. I don't think I've seen him in any action movies. But and also like the family dynamic of it, and like when they showed the like villain of it, I liked like the kind of twist that they had a little bit. They had a little twist, but I liked it. I enjoyed my time with it. Can't wait to see Mark Wahlberg's the upcoming movie of his. At number 21, Migration. Migration. I mean, it kind of surprised me, but I kind of had the same thing near the end of it. It was just a fun illumination film, good for kids, and I enjoyed it. Which I'm in a teenager, so I'm still considered a kid, but I still enjoyed my time with it. The family type of stuff was really good in it, and how they were trying to get to Jamaica was interesting, and I just enjoyed it. I don't know if a lot of people, I think a lot of like kids have watched it, but I think Wonka's still in the lead right now for box office. But Migration was really good, really solid, and I enjoyed it. At number 20, going to the top 20, The Covenant. The Covenant is a Jake Gyllenhaal movie, which I've watched a lot of his. I think he would have been my number one on Letterboxd actor, but I started later this year, on Letterboxd, so it didn't count. And Dar Salam, who I have seen like him in I don't think any movies. I think I said in my review for this that this was the first time I have ever seen him in a movie, and he did a great performance. Jake Gyllenhaal, great as normal, but the way that they made this structure of like they both of them felt like they were in trying to help each other out, that they needed to help each other out, that I thought that was really good on how they did that, and the way that they just did everything in this movie was great. Though I heard not a lot of people watched it because Guy Ritchie just had Operation Fortune right before this, and that's kind of like why they just pushed Operation Fortune, because I did not watch that because that just kind of got like pushed out of nowhere. And then The Covenant kind of just came along. I think it made its budget back, maybe. I don't know if it did, but it was really solid film. Yeah, I didn't do anything. And then at number 19, another surprise of the year, kinda Dungeon of Dragons. So when I first heard of it, I was like, I'm not a D&D person, so I probably won't watch this one. But then I saw like a trailer. I think it was for I think it was Creed 3. I saw the trailer for it. I'm like, ooh, this doesn't look that bad. And then I never watched it in theaters because I was like busy, because like if like my March stuff was like each week I had a movie, and then April each week I had a movie, and then I finally had a break during May, but it was almost out of theaters by then, so I'm like, I'll just wait till streaming. So then I watched it on Peacock in December of 2023, and it was really good. Chris Pine was great. The rest of the cast was great. The story of like how they kind of brought you into the Dungeon and Dragons world, even if you weren't a fan of it, really, like you didn't know much about it. Like I didn't know much. I don't know much about D&D, but I still really enjoyed this. But then the next one is Next Goal Wins. I think this had some mixed reviews on it, because I know some people said that they thought it was pretty good, and other people said that it was pretty much bad. But I enjoyed it. Just the way how, I mean, I know people have some stuff against Taka Waititi. I'll just say that. Um, I'll just say I know some people got some things against him and his like humor and stuff, but I thought that it was really good. Just the sports, because I used to play soccer when I was younger, so from what I remember, it was pretty accurate to most stuff. But it was just, I enjoyed it all, pretty much. I don't know what else I could say about it. It is kind of forgettable. It was like in my top 13, top 15. I mean, don't know why I said 13. I think it was 13. But then I'm like, yeah, I don't remember much from it. Like I usually wait a week to put like my final stuff in for where it's at. And then if I keep on forgetting it, it goes lower. But I still remember parts of it. And the comedy was pretty good in it, but it wasn't as good as most comedy films, because I'm pretty sure this was considered comedy and sports. But then on to number 17, another sports movie ish, kind of business sports movie, Air, about the Jordan Air shoe company. And Matt Damon was great. Surprise, I'm joking. Ben Affleck was great for like the 20 minutes that he was in it. Jason Bateman was good for like the 20 minutes that he was in it. Viola Davis was good in it. Chris Tucker he was good for like the 20 minutes that he was in it. And he may have been in it more, but I just liked how they did the whole like 80s setting, because I mean Michael Jordan was in the 80s, and Michael Jordan was in the 80s. Don't get me wrong about that part. Why am I okay? Don't get me wrong about that, but he was just oh uh my bad on that. But he was just the kind. I liked how they also said it, that they just didn't want to show Michael Jordan because like everyone knows who Michael Jordan is. But I know some people didn't like this movie as well. They kind of thought that it was just, I don't know why, but I know some people. I know a lot of people liked it, and then some people didn't think that it was that good. And then at number 16 is Gran Turismo. Probably one of the biggest surprises of the year. I will have a list. I think that is on there. But Gran Turismo, it was a great surprise, pretty much. Because the racing scenes were great. I think Ford and Ferrari's type of racing versus that, they're like right near each other for me. But David Harbour was great. The main character, he was like new. I think this was like his first role. This was a great first role for him, and it was just great overall. And I just enjoyed my time with it, and great like graphics were insane. How great they were. At number 15 is Aquaman and the Lost Kingdom. Aquaman and the Lost Kingdom was kind of a letdown, but it was better than I thought it was going to be at the same time. Because when I first, so I do not, I'm just going to get this out of the way. I did not like the first Aquaman. I know a lot of people thought that it was pretty good, and I'm not going to get really into that. But Aquaman was great in it. And then we got into, but then so I was not, I'm pretty sure I had this in my list for my favorite my most anticipated for 23 video. But this was like near the bottom, I'm pretty sure. But then they dropped the trailer. Well, the teaser kind of got me a little bit excited. Then they dropped the official trailer. That trailer got me pretty excited. And then they kept on like showing stuff of it, and that got me really excited. But then it was weird how they didn't push back the date because the actors strike. They didn't push this back, and you could tell that some of the CGI wasn't that finished because of people were on strike for the studios not paying them. But it just pretty much James Gunn didn't care. He just threw this out there. It seemed like because they didn't have a press screening for this. I'm pretty sure they had no really thing that WB was like helping this movie out. But I'm pretty sure it's this right now. It's the second most money DC film because I think it beat The Flash as of the time I'm recording this. So it's like right behind Aquaman 1 because worldwide it's going great. Locally, well, like USA, it's not doing so well. But overseas love Momoa for, I don't know why, but they just love Momoa. So it's really gonna help him out in his career. But I just love the way how they made the brotherly bond of like kind of like Thor Ragnarok. It kind of reminds me of Thor Ragnarok if Thor Ragnarok was in the sea. So yeah. And number 14, Shazam Fury of the Gods. Shazam Fury of the Gods was one of my favorite films of the year. But I kept on watching more films this year and it kept on getting knocked down because it was my favorite film until June, May, whenever Guardians dropped out, came out. It was my favorite film for until then, so about a month or two. So I mean that's not really that long, but it was my second for a while too, until June, and then it was my third for like a really long time until like August. Okay, yeah, but you get my point. But then it's still a really great film. It's just so it was a great story to me. It seemed like it had like the great dynamics from the first one, and then the emotional scene at the end. But then they had to add the end, which the end was not made me confused, and it left me confused. And I want a third one, but it doesn't sound like that's gonna happen. But it was just the end did not settle down for me. It did not settle as well. But if they would have ended it how they ended it with the last fight scene, the ending of that, if they would have ended like that, I would have maybe liked it a little bit more. It's just the end kind of confused me. No Hard Feelings is number 13. This is a mixed bag for people. I know that because of the age difference between this, but I don't care about the age difference really. Jennifer no, not Jennifer Aniston. Jennifer Lawrence is great through this film, and the kid in it, he's also great. Just how they kind of, she's trying to get money to, which I mean that's what some people didn't like because kind of like giving herself up, and she's doing that, and it's not very, people didn't really like that part. But I thought that it was interesting style. The comedy was pretty much always landed, and the kid's kind of like a social reject, and she's like trying to get him into like the real world, and I like that part. At number 12, John Wick 4. John Wick 4, the action scenes are great in this film. It is a great film. And John Wick, this is probably my second favorite John Wick. I know it's a lot of people's first, but I still think I prefer the first one. But John Wick 4, it was lower on my list because like I kept on forgetting about it because I did not feel good when I first watched this. But then I rewatched it and I was like, oh, this is great. I know a lot of people said that it's not that rewatchable, but I think it's really rewatchable. Just the way how they did the action scenes, the story was better than I remember. It was just great. Keanu did great like usual. At 11, shock. Just shock on how high this thing is. Anyone but you. So not a lot of people were watching this. So I kind of, it looked good from the trailers a little bit, but didn't look really that good. But then when I went in there, because like no one I really watched reviewed this movie that much, or as long as I see, they didn't. No one really reviewed this film that I'm subscribed to. But then, just when I sat down and watched the film, it was just hilarious film, and it was great. The ending, and I just liked how they did everything in this film. Glenn Powell and Sydney Sweeney were great in this, and it's just funny how they were trying to do everything in this film. But but yeah, I just really enjoyed everything in this, and hope to see you guys in my top 10 video, which will be my next video coming out. and see you guys on the flip side.